Good morning, friends. Welcome to episode 76 of the Make Saints podcast. I'm Drew Downs, and this one is called Protest. Now, a week ago, I wrote a short piece about protesting, and after I wrote it, this week we had some more protests and some more misbehaving of state governments. And we saw it in Austin, Texas, and we saw it in Bloomington, Indiana. And I just want to name something really strange, and then I'll get out of your way and let you go about your weekend. But something happened here, which is at Indiana University, in which protesters were protesting in the affirmed space on campus where protests are to take place. In fact, they even had permission. They had permission to be in the assigned place for protests, and there were no weapons, there was no sign of violence, there was no threat. There was literally no threat at all. And when but the president of the university asked state police, not local police, not the mayor of Bloomington, but the state police, to come. And they came in with artillery vehicles. They came with shields and battle gear, and outnumbered the protesters, and shoved them to the ground and arrested people. And 100% of the people in that space were students, staff, faculty, professors. And they were arrested and given the sort of penalty was that they're not allowed to go on campus. Students who have paid tuition and are students and have finals can't go on campus. Professors who have hundreds of students who are about to take finals can't go on campus. And I don't know how else to describe this but to call it insanity. And I don't know how best to name this but to refer to it as dysfunctional behavior by governments and by universities. And people are trying to have debates about the right kind of protests, and unironically, right? They don't understand this, but they're unironically referencing other people who were beaten up by police for protesting the wrong way 50 years ago. But what we've got is a problem at large. People, the mass of people, we're having a problem because protest makes us uncomfortable, and we don't like that. And so we make things about wanting to be more comfortable, or doing things the right way. Or there must be a reason. There must be a reason that a professor got hit and in the neck, and another one got shoved to the ground, and that they got zip tied and were banned from campus. They must have done something, right? And That's a great big fat assumption. That does not have it without any proof or data, right? Well, actually, the proof is the opposite, that they did nothing. There's something about making the assumption that people are at fault for being arrested, or that there must be a reason to arrest, or that there is some safety that must be maintained. What happened in Bloomington, and I'm sure what same could be said about Austin, same could be said in any number of places where this may be happening, or may have happened in similar circumstances. This isn't any safer. They aren't any safer because the people who those officers are supposed to protect, they chose to brutalize. They aren't safer, and no one on IU's campus feels safe. That's not safety. So what do we do then with this thing? Well, it genuinely shows how messed up we are around expectations of safety, how messed up our expectations are about what's acceptable and what we're willing to allow for. It also shows that there's plenty that we can do differently. We don't need to be doing things this way. We need to do them differently. And that means treating our protests, peaceful protests, as peaceful protests. There's a difference between threatening and peaceful, and this is peaceful. What's funny, of course, is when we perceive peaceful as threatening. And that, I think, tells a lot about how many among us see questions of peace, particularly when peaceful protesters are trying to help all of us see an absence of peace in the Middle East, when what they're trying to show us is the presence of war, the presence of genocide. And what did we do? We brought violence. That isn't safety. None of this is safety. It is all about violence and control. I don't have anything more to add about this today. I think that is just fine. But remember, just take and remember whenever we have these questions, particularly when questions of safety are being spoken about, or when what comes up in our, from our guts in a moment, when what we're dealing with and stressing about on the inside is actually a sense of lack of control, an absence of control for us, that our gut response ought not be beat some people up, but ought to be, why am I so afraid of this person, right? And in this case, why would I be so afraid of peaceful protesters drawing my attention to our complicity in war? And when our response is to beat and arrest and control, that reveals way more about us than it does about them. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.